Hi there guys, my name's Action Dan and welcome to the fourth and final installment in my little series I put together about flat earthers. Now before I start, I'll give you the extra reminder note that I'm not taking personal credit for this video. This video was not made entirely by me. The original source media that I'm talking about is made by the very creative people of Jubilee. If you'd like to see their original video, just go to my description and click on the link. If you haven't watched the first 3 parts of my commentary on this documentary, make sure you click on that link in the corner there and go back and start from the beginning. Anyways, that's enough of my introduction. This is part 4 of 4 of dealing with flat earthers. You know, do they have some point? Is the world actually flat? I hope you like this video. If you do, please subscribe and I hope you give me a big thumbs up. Let's jump straight back into it.
Yeah, the idea that NASA and the government is lying to us about the shape of the Earth is the height of conspiracy theories. In order for this to be true, the literally hundreds of thousands of people who at some point over the last 50 or 60 years.
Don't forget guys, this is part 4. If you haven't seen part 1, you have to click on that link and go back to the beginning.
Nobody spills the beans at all is, on the face of it, completely unbelievable.
The private does not know what the general is doing. There's compartmentalization happening all the time.
Of course.
So it wouldn't be that far-fetched. Has the government ever lied to us is really the question at stake.
We all agree on that.
Yeah.
But now
Common ground.
Now we have NASA.gov, right? And absolutely, they're not lying about anything. They're completely transparent. Everything is true. We'd be foolish to think that's true.
There's a difference here. I'm sorry. This is a fallacy here. There's
not a fallacy.
I'm sure it is.
Go ahead.
You were talking about a government. Now you're talking about an agency of the government.
NASA.gov.
But this agency is scrutinized.
There's no such thing as every single person in NASA is fake and believes it. And there's no such thing as everyone in NASA is coming up with some fake story and no one's going to change their mind and expose it. Have you ever heard of the story of the person that worked at NASA that exposed all the deep dark secrets? I haven't.
The private does not know what the general is doing. There's compartmentalization happening all the time.
Of course.
So it wouldn't be that far-fetched. Has the government ever lied to us is really the question at stake.
We all agree on that.
Yeah, but
Common ground.
Now we have NASA.gov, right? And absolutely, they're not lying about anything. They're completely transparent. Everything is true. We'd be foolish to think that's true.
There's a difference here. I'm sorry. This is a fallacy here. There's
not a fallacy.
I'm sure it is.
Go ahead.
You were talking about a government. Now you're talking about an agency of the government.
NASA.gov.
But this agency is scrutinized by thousands and thousands of scientists around the globe. You are dealing with smart people, believe me. You are dealing with smart people.
I don't deny that.
So it is very hard to do that. Once or twice, maybe. Not for the whole time.
Raise your hand if you think we went to the moon.
What is the proof? Hundreds and hundreds of pounds of moon rocks and dust. And we have distributed those freely to PhD scientists around the world. And not one of those geologists have said, what is this?
Been proven to be fake.
And also and collected on the ice in Antarctica and in the Arctic as well. Those are collected. You don't have to go to the moon to get moon rocks.
Wrong answer.
As a matter of fact, all U.S. Air Force photography prior to 1958 shows a flat Earth. Only NASA shows a sphere.
That's absolutely not true,
Jim. I wouldn't lie to you.
And the other
NASA's lying to you, my friend.
The other bit of proof
not myself.
is we have a laser retroreflector on the moon.
Yeah.
So it's not important enough to me, I'm not going to do it. But if you're a person that debates landing on the moon, do that one. Think about if you can get a telescope that's, I don't think it has to be tremendously powerful at all, and see if you can see this reflective thing they're talking about.
That we're using now.
We still use to this day.
It's sitting there.
You can find to the inch how far away the moon is.
No pictures of home.
That only is there. By the way,
there are not.
My question to you is, why? Why would all these honest, hardworking people perpetuate this massive fraud? Why would they do this?
What's the benefit of doing
Okay,
that?
the benefit of it. They make $52 million a day. Follow the money.
No, the little
Follow
guy.
the money.
The little guy.
That's what. Then when you say all, okay.
But it didn't start out that way. And NASA was not founded to prove the Earth was a globe. It had nothing to do with the way they were founded.
Well, if you go and study.
Are
the
you
whole-
sure?
Yeah, positive.
Really?
Yes. Somebody has to be a voice for reason, and somebody has to be a voice for truth. It would be a fantasy to believe that I would change anybody's mind from the other three. However, if there's somebody sitting on the fence, and this is the first introduction to this debate, perhaps they'll hear the reasonable voice and say, yeah, that makes more sense than having this pizza-shaped Earth.
I reckon one of the easiest things that you can show to yourself to prove that the Earth can't be flat is if you look at the map that they've decided on, flat Earth map, and the way the world really looks like that they've chosen upon to agree upon, it's just copying the logo of the United Nations. It's pretty pathetic. Imagine traveling from Australia to New York or something like that, and draw a line with a ruler and measure the distance. You'll find that all the random major countries that you've chosen A to B on opposite sides of the planet to one another all have about the same sort of flight time, around 21 hours. But if you then get these same flights and you look at the positions on a flat Earth map, you'll find that some of these countries which are meant to be equal distance are very close to one another, and some of these countries are now very far away from one another. If a flat Earth map is actually what's real, then why do all the flight times and distances not match up?
I can put myself in the mindset of the other side.
I have full respect for people that believe in religion. I wanted to be religious myself, but all facts just get rid of any form of religion. The thing I hate about religion the most, that I talk about with my wife the most, is I just hate the fact that all these Christians I've bumped into say that their religious unproven facts are real, and all these other mass number religions that have 40 million people that follow them, you say that they're all fake. How can you say that your belief is real, but every single other major religion on the planet with tens of millions of followers each, they're all fake? If my son comes home from school, I've said to my wife before, when he's older in the future, and he says that he is Christian and that he went to school and learned something about Christianity, and then he comes home and says, but these Indian people that believe in a different God, their God is fake. I'll say, don't do that. That's very disrespectful and mean. Their God is just as real as your God, and you can't say your God is real and their God is fake. That is discrimination. That's what I'll be teaching my son.
I used to be a ball earther. Everything you say right now is completely what I used to agree to. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
For me, I think the correct way to do any kind of investigation or to examine things is by literally putting yourself in that mindset of the other person. So I do that. I disagree with your position, but I completely understand from your perspective what you're saying.
The trouble I have understanding your perspective is, in the modern world, unless you live in a cave somewhere, you have to believe in science implicitly. I met a flat earther, a young woman who said, I don't trust anything that science does. And that's a problem, because human beings can't replicate the whole body of science every single generation. At some point, you have to trust what's already been discovered and proven and move on to the next thing. Otherwise, we're not going to advance at all. I mean, when you turn that key ignition in your car, you expect the car to start out.
And not blow up.
And not blow up, because science puts you in that position. So it's really hard to understand how people would know in their hearts that science achieves wonderful things and then just jumping ship when it comes to this other issue.
It is very easy in many different ways to go out in one single day and to prove to yourself that the Earth is round. Scratching my head one morning, I'm like, hey, I just thought of another one. If the Earth was flat, and I would like to believe that with these people, flat Earthers, why doesn't it start off as some tiny little faint dot of light and then come closer and closer and get brighter and brighter and bigger and become overwhelming and then get smaller and smaller and then eventually disappear just because it's so incredibly far away that you can't see it? Why doesn't it work that way? Why does the sun always look the exact same brightness? If the Earth was a globe and the sun was really far away, then that theory makes sense because it's staying the same distance away as the Earth rotates. And then as the Earth rotates and it comes up to the edge of Earth, it's the same size as when it was midday, as it's just disappearing as this full circle behind the planet. That supports the Earth being spherical. But your flat Earth idea, and you say it just travels around in circles and gets far away. I'd love to believe that. Well, why isn't it getting smaller and dimmer as it goes away? Why doesn't it happen very, very slowly and get more and more dim? Stupid. Why do they not think of stuff like this?
We're not drawing conclusions. We understand the mechanisms that made that car work. There is no theories and no disputed conclusions involved there. It's not a good analogy. Can I admit a great compromise that we have to experience being against the grain people? Is we have to literally sit in a group and decide whether or not we can afford to have an opinion, and that's tough.
I agree with you there, because we're the same thing. I mean, I think skeptics go through this and atheists go through this. I don't believe in God. When I'm around religious people, I take a chance socially when I tell them I'm an atheist. So I know it takes some courage to follow your beliefs, and I appreciate that. But I think I've done a lot of research in that venue too. And it's not something I choose to believe in, it's something I have to believe in based on the evidence.
See, what I get from you guys is that seeing is believing. So how come you believe in God or Jesus? You haven't seen neither of them, right?
I've seen evidence, though.
Well, exactly. So we are looking for evidence. There are many, many other evidences for Earth not being flat. My point is that these experiments clearly show that the Earth is globe. And you don't need to go outside the globe to see its globe.
It's a theoretical...
You told me you want the evidence. If you're saying that you look only to see something, then I dispute your belief system in God and Jesus or Jehovah or Buddha or Zarathustra or anyone.
You keep going back to religion as being
because
our
it's coming
conclusion.
from there.
No,
You think you do
no,
have the
I
truth.
have evidence. I have evidence.
You
from
quoted
what I
at the
know.
beginning
She
of
pointed out
this.
physics.
You quoted Bible.
Of
That's
course
the
I did,
reason.
but that is not the only reason.
So sadly, as we expect, nothing is accomplished as usual. Some people talk beliefs, some people talk science, and neither one is going to change their sides or listen to a single thing the other one says and believe it.
I know what the shape of the Earth is, and you keep, that's fallacy.
It's not fallacy.
It is a
Actually,
fallacy.
it is not fallacy.
It is a fallacy.
I'm a theoretical physicist. What I'm doing is the combination of string theory and cosmology. So we try to understand what happened during the Big Bang, after the Big Bang, or even before the Big Bang.
What are you hoping to get from the discussion today?
Well, I hope I would be able, particularly to the young generation, to convince them that first, they should think critically and don't believe anything. They shouldn't take anything for granted. Look at the evidences and examine those evidences and throw away those claims that are not evidence-based.
Science, not to put it down, but when you're talking about rocket science, this is very difficult for the majority of people to understand, and it's designed that way. And so,
Designed that
in
way?
a lot of ways, hiding behind rocket science is similar to religion. If you look at the Catholic Church back in the days, only we can interpret the Bible, you have to listen to what we say. So in a lot of ways, we're getting that same notion from science that says, only we can interpret what these numbers are, you just need to trust us. But then when we actually do go and test some of their equations and they don't work, does that beg the question for us to go and test it ourselves? Absolutely.
I would say, you know, one great thing about science is its predictability. Let's for some moment, for a short moment, assume that your model, this flat Earth model, is correct. I don't know, what does it buy for us? What does it predict for us? So my question for you guys would be, next time, bring me something from your theory, your model, that you can predict something which the globe Earth model cannot predict. Then I would change my mind.
I would just say that don't believe anything that I've said. You got to do your own research. And I think what you'll find is that you'll see that a puzzle piece doesn't fit. And the only way you're going to do that is if you put your own eyeballs on it.
I don't blame people for being skeptical. I'm skeptical about a lot of different things. I applaud that instinct in you. But you have to go beyond just not believing in something. Ask the hard questions. Ask what qualifies a YouTuber, a book author, anywhere else you're getting this information. What qualifies them to make wide-ranging comments about the shape of the Earth? Look, anybody who can overturn Einstein or some major theory is going to be eventually written in the halls of science for the rest of their lives. But they have to come up with the goods. They have to show good science-based evidence that what they say is true, and they have to withstand the test of time and peer review and the rigors of the scientific method.
All right, thank you. I'm all sweaty.
Ollie, it was nice to meet you.
Almost neighbor.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Good seeing you. Hey, I want to get you a copy of my novel.
Oh, sure.
And,
Hey, good job.
Thank you, guys.
And that is it, the end of part 4. I hope someone enjoyed watching my series. It wasn't boring for me watching it over and over again. I didn't fall asleep. If you liked what I put together, please give me that thumbs up and a comment down below. If you didn't like it, please just do that anyway. Oh yeah, and you guys, you like my lights or what? I upgraded my sticky tape. It took me like a whole hour. I had to get my wife to hold everything.
Action time, the greatest hero of them all.
Well, that's it, guys. Feel free to post your comments, but just remember, don't be an anchor. If you want to see one of my random outdoor adventures, click on that link on the left. If you want to see another Anchor Wednesday episode, click on the link on the right.